stimulus check update, rebate payments, inflation refunds, and what Trump's administration says millions of Americans have been asking the same question. Will new stimulus checks or rebate-style payments finally be approved? Today, I'll break down the facts, the rumors, and the official statements coming from the Trump administration, the Treasury Department, and state-level programs. So let's jump straight in and look at this. Will we get tariff rebate checks? What the Trump administration says right after Trump floated this idea, Senator Josh Hawley introduced the American Rebate Act. Under this plan, families could potentially get $600 per adult and $600 per child. That means a household of 4 might see up to $2,400, and look at this. The claim is that the Internal Revenue Service and the Treasury Department have approved $1,390 stimulus checks that will be distributed to low- and middle-income taxpayers by the end of the summer. This claim went viral online. Many social media posts have suggested that a one-time payment of $1,390 is already approved and set to go out. But let's be clear, there is no official confirmation from Congress or the IRS that such payments have been finalized. Treasury officials have addressed the rumor and explained that no such federal stimulus program has been legally authorized. This means, unfortunately, that anyone promising you $1,390 right now is likely pushing misinformation. Look at this. Bessent says tariff revenue will go to national debt before rebate checks. This is where things get complicated. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been very direct on this issue. According to him, the Trump administration wants to prioritize using tariff revenue to pay down the U.S. national debt rather than sending immediate rebate checks. Some lawmakers argue this is unfair, that struggling Americans deserve help now. They say tariff money should first be directed into households, not Wall Street. Look at this. Inflation refund checks heading to New Yorkers soon. While the federal side of things remains uncertain, state governments are stepping up with their own relief programs. One of the biggest updates comes from New York. Look at this. New York, PIX11. Get ready, New Yorkers. Inflation refund checks will be heading to your mailbox starting at the end of September, according to the state's Department of Taxation and Finance. These payments were officially approved earlier this year as part of the 2025 state budget. And here's what you need to know about eligibility. Look at this. The checks were approved as part of the state's 2025 budget earlier this year. New York residents are eligible to get money if you filed your taxes for the 2023 tax year. You were not claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax returns. You are in the qualifying income bracket. This means ordinary working families across New York will soon see direct relief without having to apply for any new program. Look at this. Over 8 million New Yorkers will get between $150 and $400, depending on how much they make per year. If you're single and making $75,000 or less, you will get $200. This is real money that can help with groceries, rent, and bills. Unlike the rumored $1,390 check, these inflation refund payments are already written into law at the state level and are on the way. Look at this. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the Trump administration was laser-focused on paying down the national debt with tariff revenue, dismissing the idea of rebate check disbursement within the next few months. Bessent doubled down on this message during interviews, saying debt repayment remains the #1 priority. That's not what struggling households want to hear, but it's the current position of Treasury leadership. I've been saying that tariff revenue could be $300 billion this year. I'm going to have to revise that up substantially, Bessent said during a Tuesday appearance on CNBC's Squawk Box. That's a staggering amount of money flowing into federal accounts. The big question is, will it ever reach American families in the form of rebate checks, or will it all be swallowed by debt payments? Critics point out that Washington often finds the money to fund foreign aid or military spending almost overnight, yet when it comes to relief for Americans, suddenly the priority shifts to debt. Federal versus state relief. What's really coming? So, here's where things stand. Federal level. No $1,390 checks have been approved. The Trump administration is signaling debt reduction comes before rebates. Tariff rebate checks. Still an idea, but no signed law. Americans may have to wait until Congress takes action. State level, New York is moving forward with its inflation refund program, giving millions of residents between $150 and $400 this month. This shows that while Washington debates, states are stepping in with their own solutions. What should you do? Now that we've gone over all the details, the proposals, the rumors, and the confirmed state-level programs, you might be wondering, what does this mean for me and what should I do next? First, if you live in New York, you're in luck. Make sure you have your 2023 taxes filed and double-check that you weren't claimed as a dependent on someone else's return. If you meet the income requirements, your check will arrive automatically. You don't need to apply, fill out extra forms, or call the tax office. The money will be mailed or deposited just like your normal state refunds. This is guaranteed relief that millions of New Yorkers can count on by the end of September. If you live in another state, don't assume you're left out. Over the past few years, many states have launched their own programs, sometimes calling them inflation relief checks, energy rebates, or cost of living adjustments. These programs often don't get the same level of media coverage as federal stimulus, so a lot of people don't even know they exist. That's why it's important to check your state's Department of Revenue or taxation website regularly. You might be eligible for money you didn't realize was available. At the federal level, here's the most important advice: be cautious. Viral posts on social media can spread misleading claims, like the so-called $1,390 stimulus check rumor. Remember, unless Congress passes a bill and the president signs it into law, no federal check is guaranteed. If you don't see confirmation from trusted sources such as the IRS, the Treasury Department, or major news outlets, treat it as speculation and not fact. So in short, if you're in New York, get ready for your check. If you're in another state, stay alert and informed. And at the federal level, don't count on money until it's officially written into law. Final thoughts: the debate over stimulus-style payments is far from over. On one hand, millions of families are struggling to make ends meet. Grocery bills are up by more than 20% in just 3 years, housing costs are at record highs, and healthcare bills continue to pile up. For many seniors, retirees, and low-income workers, even a few $100s can make the difference between paying rent on time or falling behind. So here's the big question: should tariff revenue be used to pay down the debt first, or should it go directly into the hands of American households who need relief right now? That's where you come in. I want to hear from you. Do you believe $600 rebate checks would be enough to help struggling families, or do you agree with analysts who argue that Americans need at least $2,000 per person to truly get breathing room? Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in the next update.